to Going All In, Get the Edge You Need to Succeed. I'm Dr. Erin McKinley, and I have another senior session for you today with a recent LSU graduate, Sydnie Darby, who's sticking around in town to be a dietetic intern at FranU. She's going to tell you all about her experience in our program, what she did to prepare to be an great applicant for the program she received a match to, and we just chat about some fun stuff and what it's like to be at LSU and work in town at the different places we have available for students to gain experience. Check it out. All right, Sydnie, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good today.
Yeah, so give us an introduction to you, hometown, a little bit about your why as far as going into dietetics in the future, and then tell us where you're headed in the fall.
Okay, so Sydnie Darby. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana, about an hour from here, not far at all. I got into dietetics because when I was like in high school, that was like my thing, like nutrition. That's just what I was doing all the time. So I started in that at UL. And then I changed my major maybe 3 times. And then I tried to go back to dietetics and they didn't have it. So then I transferred here. And so I continued to pursue that. But I'm headed to FranU in the fall here in Baton Rouge.
All right, exciting, not going too far away from me. So when it came down to, it sounds like you've kind of known that you've wanted to do this, but as you learned more about the process to become a dietitian, which is not an easy feat, how did you feel about going through that process of like, okay, I need to figure out where I'm going to do an internship because that's going to affect a lot of maybe where I end up in the future, what I specialize in. So what were kind of your thoughts and feelings around making that decision on where you were going to apply?
So from day one, I pretty much knew it was FranU because like joining like the podcast with you, I felt like a comfort from them, like off bat. Like I felt like I can work with them and I felt comfortable. So also, I think the fact that it was here in Louisiana and the other internships around here, I'm not familiar with, like the city. So I didn't really want to go there and start over again because I moved here. But also, FranU has the option to do rotations in Lafayette. So since I'm from there, I was like, well, that would work great for me also. So yeah, that's really why I chose FranU.
So no real big stressful, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Did you apply to more than one program?
Yes, I applied to North Oaks. So I was stressed in that sense because I was like, if I do get to go to North Oaks, like I'm gonna have to learn somewhere new and I've never been to Hammond in my life. So it was kind of like I knew like applying that I would have to be okay with going there if I did get accepted there. But at the same time, like I kind of didn't want to go there. But it worked out for me that I got to go to FranU. Yeah, it's just like the location thing is very stressful, but if you really want to do that profession, you kind of have to be okay with going somewhere else and learning something new.
So has your family always been supportive of this decision to become a dietitian? How are they thinking about things when you explain to them the internship process?
Yeah, so I talked to my mom about this like the most, and she was kind of skeptical about the process because she wasn't used to it. Because I have 2 sisters, and they, like my oldest, she did just regular grad school, so my mom knew like regular grad school stuff. So when I was telling her about like diet and stuff, she was like I want to help you with this, but I'm gonna have to do a lot of research. So it's like I really had to be the one to step up and do it and like learn from 30-25 about it. So but it's like she wanted me to do that because she knew that's what I wanted to do, but it was just a process for her. It was kind of like, if you don't get matched and this and this, like, and then just having like my own personal factors like she was concerned about. She's just like, well, what if this and blah blah blah.
Parents love to be worst case scenario folks. So sometimes
Yeah.
to make us think about those things we didn't think about before.
Yeah.
All right, so you and I chatted about this real quick before we jumped on the podcast about, so those watching have figured out how hands-on I am with my students. And I was talking with you about how out of really probably most of the students in your senior class, I saw you the least. We had a couple of classes that you were in, but I don't think that you ever came for like a one-on-one chat. Did you? Maybe once?
Just advising, really.
Just advise, yeah, just course advising. So we never had any serious like come to Dr. McKinley meetings, those sort of things, which I was always impressed with you. So what other kind of support? So if you weren't coming to me, what other type of support did you have? Maybe from the students or other faculty or outside of LSU in this process, as far as like kind of making sure you were keeping it together, getting everything done?
Well, first myself, so I had to make sure I was on top of things. But I had 2 other people that I was really close with in the program. So like we would constantly be in the group chat, talking about it, asking each other questions if we understood everything. So that was very helpful. Like to talk to your classmates if you're close with them. I talked to my sister about it, which she didn't know much about it either, but she was supportive about it, making sure that I was okay with everything. But yeah, that's pretty much what I had to do.
So is there anything that you wish you knew maybe earlier in life or earlier in this program that may have like affected your decision making with regard to like what you were going to do after graduation?
I would say there's nothing that I didn't know, but there's things I wish I would have done sooner. Just keeping up with my grades more, volunteering, reaching out to programs a lot sooner. Just references, like making sure you have like a good connection with them, because I was comfortable enough to reach out, but at the same time it was still kind of like that nervousness of like, are they okay with this? Like, yes, they might do it, but I want them to want to do it, not just do it because I'm asking. So also that too.
Yeah, I feel the references, even myself in my stage of the career, I still need to ask people for references. And you think that you have that connection with somebody until that moment you go to ask and you're like, but do we? Like, is it that strong? Are they going to say yes, or are they going to be annoyed by this request? And sometimes you just have to like get over it and ask and then see how they feel. So that's really good advice for viewers at home. Whoever you're working with, really build that connection and kind of drop hints early that you're going to need things from them closer to graduation. Some programs do put a lot of emphasis on the references because they feel that that's the best idea, like the best kind of reflection of the student outside of what they're going to say about themselves, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that's a good thing to bring up. Get to know folks early. All right, so you had to go through the DICAS application system for both of the programs that you applied to. So going through it, what's your honest opinion of DICAS and any other supplemental applications that you had to do in order to apply?
So I honestly don't think DICAS was that bad. It's not fun to do, but if you just like sit down and do it at one time, that's really what I did. I just went through it because I couldn't spend days on it. But it's not that bad. It goes by steps, so it tells you exactly what they need. I had trouble with the transcript part though, because you probably said this in 3025, and I guess I wasn't listening that day, but I don't know. But the DPD college, when it asks you to put your DPD college, make sure you put your DPD college, because I listed LSU, but I didn't put DPD college. So whenever I put everything in, all my grades and everything, and I sent in my transcripts, but then it was like, where's your DPD college transcript? And I'm like, so I had to go over and do it. And then at that point, it was saying that I was missing a transcript. So even though it had my LSU transcript, I sent it anyways because I was like, I don't want to not have it even though it's there. So like that was a big deal. So I would definitely make sure to do that and read everything carefully. And read it over and over.
Over and over and over and over and over. like I'm mentioning on previous podcasts with the students, DICAS is changing this year. So even I'm like, what's it going to look like? And I just found out, like, I think last week, that we get our special training so that I know how to tell everybody else how to use it. So that's interesting that like a simple maybe button click on that transfer section gave you a little bit more stress than you needed. So slow down, read everything, don't assume, that sort of stuff. All right, did you get a North Oaks interview?
Right, so I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
Did not.
So you knew, like, right up front, like, put that number 2.
Yes, and I was upset about it. So we're on Zoom for class in like a group meeting for, I think, Turi, but everybody's talking about their interview they had. I'm like, what interview? So I was upset, but at the same time, I put in a lot of effort into FranU, so I couldn't be mad at the fact that I didn't get an interview. But it was like discouraging. It was just kind of like, well, if I didn't get one here, then I might not get one at FranU, you know? Oh, I mean, theirs was recorded, but I might not get chosen, I guess you can say. So that happened.
Very interesting, because were you ever curious to like email that director and be like, can I just ask why?
No, I didn't. Like, I don't know. I was like, well, that's my cue to just move on, focus on the next thing, I guess.
So you had to do the pre-recorded video for FranU.
Yes.
How did that experience go?
It wasn't bad. It had me anxious, like leading up to it, because I wanted to make sure my answers are perfect, but there's really no perfect answer. You just have to like do your best and be yourself, that's for sure. So there was just a point where one morning I just sat down, I wrote down all the questions, and immediately after I went to my sister's house and I just recorded, and she helped me, and it came out pretty good. It wasn't very long, but they didn't have a limit on their video, so.
I feel sometimes when they don't give you too many restrictions, it makes it a little bit easier. I feel like students that were applying to other programs where it was like, don't answer any other questions, it has to be this long, they were the ones freaking out.
Exactly.
And you were in my class the semester did I make you do the practice video?
Yes, I did.
With the actual interview questions?
I think we got to choose from some that you gave us.
Gotcha. So you had a little bit of practice of like the
I did.
So that was least stressful, because I think there's a lot of stress goes into how am I going to film it, how's it going to look, that sort of thing. So that I'm sure that class kind of helped take that out a little bit, so where you just could focus on what am I actually going to say now.
It's like I knew what not to do for the next video, because I was like, I did not like my practice video at all. I was like, okay, this has to change. Like, so I knew like what not to do. So that was very helpful.
All right, so leading up to match, I guess now that I know the North Oaks thing, so how were you really feeling coming up on match day? Kind of waiting to hear back, like what were some thoughts and feelings you were having?
Right, so I was a little nervous. For FranU, I had gone to pretty much every Zoom call. The week before, I went to the open house, even though she had already made her decisions. But I was just kind of like, still here, But I was nervous just about the whole matching thing, because I wasn't like, I know we watched the video, but I just didn't understand completely like how the computer system works. So that it just made me nervous that wouldn't work right if they did choose me. Like, yeah, it was very nerve-wracking.
And honestly, sometimes I can't even explain how the match process works. Sometimes I have a really good explanation, and then someone will ask a question and I'm like, wait, what? Does it work that way? So I think the less programs that a student applies to, but as long as they know what they have as their number one, is like you have like a fighting chance. I feel like that kind of helps out students a lot. And when you know information about the program, like, okay, I know that they have like this many spots, and with our local programs here in Louisiana, we know a little bit more information about them because I'm able to kind of glean it out of the directors, like how many applicants did you really have last year, how many spots do you really have open, that sort of thing. So for those watching at home, ask your DPD director to get a little nosy with some of these programs, because the programs will tell us. They're trying to sell their program as much as you're trying to get into it. So they will offer up that information. And if they're not open about it, take that as a sign that you maybe not want to go there. That sort of thing. All right, so match day comes. So match day was weird this year. It actually happened in the middle of class this year. If you had class at 11 a.m. on Monday, how did it really feel to like open up that website and be like,
It was relief. It was relief. That's all I felt. I was kind of like, okay, I can breathe. I don't have to constantly think like back and forth. Because like leading up to it is like, you know what you've done so far, but then you also think like there's other people that could have done more. So it's like you go back and forth like, you know, am I good enough? Or even though it doesn't define you as a person, but it just, yeah, it was like relief. I was just happy, very excited.
So you weren't conflicted at all, like, oh, did I really make the right decision with putting this as my number one program?
Not at all. I really wanted to go there.
So how quickly after you saw your match did you reach out to the FRANU director?
Maybe 15 minutes.
Let's do this.
That was really
That's good. That's good. That's a good sign when your automatic reaction is like, yes, 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 that sort of thing. So good. All right. So thinking to what you did in preparation for all of this, so the years leading up to actually sitting down and doing the application, what is one or maybe more things that you did while you were here at LSU or over at UL that you feel really separated you from other applicants?
Okay, so number one is working at Pennington. So I knew that was something that I needed to try to do, is get something in the field of nutrition. So I worked there. Also, I think volunteering at the food bank, even though like anybody can do that, but like I did it consistently. Like I didn't just go with people. It was just kind of like me doing it. So I think that helped too.
Yes, I always stress that. And I think I probably used the word consistent a lot throughout your junior and senior year with like setting up a schedule of things. I think the food bank is a perfect opportunity because you just through pure observation of going to pretty much any food bank, especially the one here in Baton Rouge, you learn just by watching what the people that work there do, seeing what's going on, why is that there versus like what kind of food we have and all the non-food stuff that they have there. So for those watching that are not familiar with our local area, Pennington Biomedical is a very large maybe almost billion, but $1 million research facility here in town that is connected with LSU, and a lot of our students are fortunate enough to work on some stuff there. What exactly were you able to do at Pennington?
So I still work there, but I work in the metabolic kitchen. So I work with the research dietitians, and pretty much it's always changing. So sometimes we make recipes, sometimes we're carrying out the studies. On the weekends I do meal service. So it's always changing, but it's a really nice, fun thing to do with experience.
So meal service, that's the folks enrolled in the studies coming in and picking up their food.
Yeah, so some of them stay there, some of them come in the morning to eat breakfast and they go home.
Oh yeah, because Pennington also has studies where people live there for certain amounts of time. It is that big, and I always forget. So they do come through like cafeteria style, like just coming to pick up my meal.
Well, yeah, the nurse calls me. I just warm up their things in the microwave and I just bring it to them. Normally, maybe it's about 4 at the most. So it's never like a lot of people. At least for the study that is Ops 2. So it's a military study with some guys, but yeah, it's never like a lot of people, but yeah.
Cool. So you're going to keep that job while you're at FRANU, or are you going to leave after the summer's over?
Right. So after July, I'm gonna move back to Lafayette and do my rotations there. But I'll still be driving here once a week for class on Fridays.
Cool. So you talked about this a little bit at the beginning about things that you kind of wish you had done a little bit better, just focus on. Any other thoughts on that, on things you kind of, hindsight's always difficult because like you got your match, you're moving on, you're happy, but really looking back, is there anything you're like, dang, I wish I had done that or done that better or not done that at all?
Yeah, So GPA for sure. Yeah, GPA, because I feel like that would give me a sense of like a, just security, because that was probably like the number one thing that made me think like I'm not sure if I'll get it, you know. So if I had that together, I probably would have been a lot more confident. And yes, volunteering too, because I was consistent when I did it, but I feel like I could have started sooner, like in the year. And then as for reaching out, when I did start reaching out, I was doing it every single time. But I feel like if I would have reached out a year ago too, I feel like that's also helpful as well.
All right. So throughout this process, what do you feel like are your kind of personal tips and tricks for future applicants?
So I feel like be involved a lot. Do as much as you can. I know that's very exhausting, but it's worth it. But also take time for yourself. But yeah, do as much as you can, because that's what I started doing. As soon as I took 30/25, I was like, okay, I need to do this, this, and this, sign up for this, this, and this. So do that. Also be just be confident in yourself, because that's what I had to do. Because I mean, it's like, I guess just what I had going on to me could have been better, but it's like it was enough because I got in. So just be confident in yourself and put yourself out there as much as you can and talk to people, because people know people. Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows everybody
Yes.
in this town and then in this profession.
Yep, exactly.
So what kind, do you have any either tips or tricks or warnings for either dietetics, our freshmen coming in starting this year, or folks that might watch this podcast who are thinking about trying to go into dietetics as a profession?
I would say for maybe the freshmen, like when you're doing your like your sciences and stuff, definitely utilize the tutorings, utilize the SI sessions. The practice exams normally are similar to the exams, so make sure you do that, because that's what helped me a lot.
So this is kind of a random question because I don't know if you've ever heard any of these rumors about either our program or getting into the profession. So have you heard any rumors or myths about either becoming a dietitian, the process to become one, or our program here at LSU that you can either confirm or deny?
Okay, so I did hear a lot about the match, especially like social media. Everybody's like, the match rate is this, and this, which it might be, I don't know. But if you do what you need to do, I definitely think you shouldn't worry about that. Because yeah, if you do what you need to do, then you'll be fine, I feel like. So as for like how hard it is, it's not a easy ride, but if you put in the work, then you're capable. Because I'm not a straight A student, but when I apply myself, then I'll do fine, and I have made straight A's. So um, yeah, it's definitely doable. It's not extremely hard as people make it seem, but it's not a free ride either. Um, as for what dietitians do, I just feel like, I mean, know what you want to do, you know, like know what it is. If you have to tell people what it is, do that. I always correct people, you know, because they think make a meal plan. I'm like, that's that's not all that they do, you know. So yeah, just be confident in what the profession is and tell people.
Yeah, you brought up some good points with the self-care aspect. I think a lot of students forget that you need to take time for yourself. It's sometimes hard to imagine that, especially like sometimes I'm like, you need to be doing X, Y, Z, homework, projects, volunteering, this, and that. And someone's like, when am I supposed to sleep? That sort of thing. So I think as we return to a more normal campus life in the fall, I think I might be putting a little bit more focus on the self-care aspect so students don't get burned out, because you don't want to be burned out and then go right into grad school burned out, because then you're not going to enjoy it whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm like the queen of self-care, especially balancing it with school. Because like this whole past year, I started like getting massages, just like taking an hour out and not thinking about anything. And like even just that hour is good enough because then you're ready just to go and do what you need to do. So definitely don't lose that much sleep because I know people make it seem like you need to lose sleep. Don't lose sleep because you're gonna just not be yourself and you don't need to do it. That's what I learned.
Mhm. And another good point you brought up was the stuff that's on social media.
Yes.
So I guess this is for those watching that might not be from LSU. You really have to take a lot of what you see on social media with a grain of salt because everyone's experience is so different. And a lot of times the stuff that freaks students out is that one person or a group of people that had a negative experience, either in their program or they maybe aren't so truthful about how not great of an applicant they were. Like if I'm going to be truthful, they probably weren't a great applicant, even though they didn't think they were. And they kind of, the negative stuff will spread faster. So I think for students that are coming up and wanting to get into dietetics, yeah, it's okay to look around at that stuff, but really trust the program that you go into. And I would probably say with a 2-year in a row 100% match rate at LSU, I would say you're going to be okay. But I always tell students, you got to meet me halfway. I can't get your GPA up. That's your thing. But I can be on you to be like, here's an opportunity to volunteer. Here's an opportunity to do this. I will put opportunities in front of you. You just have to take advantage of them. And if you don't, it's only on you. That sort of thing. So what are you most looking forward to about going into your dietetic internship?
I think I would have to say the different rotations because I feel like once you're like in undergrad, like you're learning the material, but like actually putting it to use in different areas, that's what I'm looking forward to. Definitely the clinical rotations because that's what I'm kind of into more. But yeah, doing that and just getting to be in the hospital too.
All right. So back to my other question. Is there anything else about our program, your experience, anything else you want to share with viewers before we close out today?
So I will say that LSU has a great program for sure. It's very comforting. We're very close. I'm sure, I think somebody said that on another podcast, but yeah, we're very close. And the staff, y'all, Dr. McKinley, they're very helpful as well. They all want to see you succeed. So definitely be in close contact with them and don't be afraid to ask for help and reach out and you'll be fine.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the podcast today. I just have to tell you that your photo that you sent in for our senior photos was my favorite.
Thank you.
I opened that email. I was like, so pretty, so pretty. Well, good luck with everything in the future. You are not going to be far away, so don't be a stranger. Get involved with local stuff because I'm still going to be bugging you about being as professional of an awesome RD as you can be forever. So stay in touch. Good luck with everything. Thank you so much for doing this.